Indigenous and non-Indigenous people can work together, where we can learn a lot more about each other and our backgrounds, and hope to reconcile or to work towards reconciling some of the difference and healing some of the hurt and the bitterness. I came here in the latter half of 1996 to do a study awareness program. It was advertised, I think, at the library, on a notice board at the library, and it looked very interesting. But the strange thing was that I thought at the time that it was about ancient Aboriginal history, the dream time and things like that. It was my mistake. It was about reconciliation and arbitration and modern day problems confronting the Aboriginals. But even though it wasn't what I thought it was, I really enjoyed it and stayed for the course, which was, I think, about a 6 or an 8 week course. And I found out a lot that I hadn't known before about Aboriginal people, the injustice that a lot of them have been, well, many of them have been treated to. And then when that course was over, because it was only a one-off, I didn't come back for probably nearly a year. And then I was amazed. I was here the year before, a year ago. The garden was just tiny, tiny little things, and now they're all sprouting up and looking really wonderful. And on this day, they handed out pamphlets, and on the bottom of the pamphlet it had, we're also looking for volunteers. We'd be very grateful, you know, if anyone had spare time to come along and help us out with different things. And it so happened I had just finished work, not full-time work, but some paid work that I had, and so I did have that time free that I had been spending working before. So I came along, and that was the beginning. I've been involved here for over a year and a half now. I do a variety of different things. I've worked with young Aboriginal students on literacy programs, and I've done a lot of just ye-old mundane office work, the filing and the enveloping and the stamping, different things like that. Some of us non-Indigenous people that have been coming along have been really had our eyes opened, learned a lot about reconciliation. I never really knew any Aboriginal people before until I came here. I'd seen them walking the street, but I didn't know any personally. But since I've been coming here, I've gained a far greater understanding, not only into their backgrounds, as in stolen generation and all the sad stories, but I've learned a lot about Indigenous plans, about their dream time. I've really added to my fund of knowledge, and I think that coming here in a place where white people and Aboriginal people can mix and work together does go a long way towards healing some of the rips and bitterness that there have been.
Once you start with Aboriginal art, it's just, you're always learning new things, and because there's so much involved with it all, I mean, everything's intertwined. I'm a descendant of the Watjera tribe. I also have blood links with the Watjera people through my great-grandfather's side. He married a Watjera woman, so I've got sort of links with both those areas. Well, I don't really know of any other program that's run specifically like the way this one's set up, because we cater with so many different areas of the community, it's a centre for Aboriginal people to come and learn or express their art interests, whatever they may be, whether it be wood burning or painting or you know, some type of craft. But then we also have, you know, like classes with just your broad mainstream schools, which is sort of more of a community awareness, I suppose. And then we also have community work placements here. And so depending on what the people enjoy to do, you know, they're encouraged to do it, whether it be work in the garden or do maybe work on computers or, you know, express their feelings through art. So, you know, it's quite a broad arts program, really. I suppose we develop things to cater for whatever people ask us for, really. I like to do all the sort of cultural things. Like I like to paint with ochre. I like to gather ochre and find different sorts of ochre. I do a little bit of basket weaving, make jewellery out of, you know, the natural seed pods and echidna quills. Yeah, I like to learn more about going back to the natural art forms. Say, for instance, I was inspired to actually make my own cloak out of doing the Australian print workshop, which I am going to do.
As well as everything else that went on at MINAJALKU, we ended up doing the garden up very well, planting Indigenous plants. I used to work for Youth Grow Garden, and there was a guy, social worker named Bobby Dunn, and he got in touch with Margaret one day and asked if I could do some volunteer work here to get acquainted to the place. And so it all happened, and eventually I became an employee on the payroll here at MINAJALKU, and we decided to do a garden project, and we got it up and running, and Bob was very keen on seeing me do well in the project. The actual development of the garden began in separate stages. We had to remove the grass, turf, and we found out, this is before we started on the back. We removed the roses up along the brick wall, which there was a lot of roses, big mature roses, and a lot of ivy crawling along the brick wall, so you know what ivy's like to remove. Once we had the mulch put down, we planted some trees and we made a pond, the pond out the front, and that was made by hand using chicken wire and cement. We had no use of bobcats, and all the work was done by shovel, pick, crowbar and wheelbarrow. And Ron had some great ideas about us learning plant names, botanical names and common names, and he used to quiz us as we were planting plants, and it was really fun, you know. We had a ball doing it, and that helped me a lot with my apprenticeship. When Bobby passed away, that was just after my project had ended here at MINAJALKU, and I miss him a lot.
I first went to MINAJALKU when I was 14 years old, and I found it good there. I think it's a real good place for all teenagers. They put a kind heart to you and they they make you feel one of them, and like, they know that you need help, and like if you want to cheer up and put a smile on your face. I like the creations and Wendy helping me. Makes me feel really happy inside and know that I can keep on with it. Makes other people happy too, and they ask me to do one for them, and all the techniques I can do, and when I hand it over, they got a big smile on their face. I'm trying to keep painting till my hands drop off, and I was born with paint running through my veins, and I'll never want to stop painting. Not till I'm old, anyway.
So my path took me to here, to MINAJALKU, and so yeah, I ended up here painting walls, painting the kitchen, and doing canvases, and made money off it. So that was brilliant. I never thought I'd ever sell a painting, and after being here for about 3 months, I had an art show at the Italian Institute in Turak, and I sold about 5 paintings and made about $500, so I was pretty stoked. I suppose when I first came to MINAJALKU, I was a little bit confused and sort of stressed out about where my life was going and what I was doing with my life, because I was sort of living on the streets at the time and sleeping in the city and stuff, and sort of it gave me an outlet, and I've always been into my art, so that was a really good outlet. Did some artwork with them, some screen printing, some rock paintings, did some adventures, went out to the country, did a lot of interesting things, met a lot of interesting people, went down to Geelong to a cultural centre down there. I probably would have worked on art anyway, just drawing, but this sort of MINAJALKU gave me an actual grounds to do it and proper paint, and sort of this is probably the first place that ever gave me the proper equipment and sort of bothered actually helping me find like what I wanted to find, like helped me progress in my artwork. Like before that it was just, scribbles on pieces of paper that sort of got, wrecked and chucked here and chucked there. And yeah, so if I don't know if I'd even would have probably painted a canvas if I'd never come here. I think that's probably the best part about MINAJALKU, is that it's sort of there for the young kids, the older kids, and people feel comfortable coming here.